Hello again. The introduction of racial quotas into employment practices in this country has been done craftily and surreptitiously in such a way that it is now an established convention that any public body, company, charity, profession, university, play, film, or advertisement must have at least 5 or 10 times as many black people in it than the proportion of black people in the general population. The rationale behind this process is that the enterprise must reflect the community. This is, of course, sheer nonsense, for nobody is in the least concerned about having Indians or Chinese people in the RAF, prison service, Oxford University, or television dramas. The only measure of success is how many black people may be shoehorned in. And shoehorned in they most certainly are. The claim is that unless some enterprise has the same percentage of ethnic minorities as their proportion in the general population, then something must be very wrong. Probably institutional racism is at work. Various fire brigades claim this, as has the RAF. A number of universities and so on also do it. Don't even get me started on medical schools. Here is an example of how this works in practice. The thumbnail to this video shows the cast of the new Paddington Bear musical, which opens in London in November. You will observe that out of 12 people, 3 are black. In other words, 25% of the cast black. But of course, the latest figures tell us that just 4% of people in this country are black. In other words, black people in the cast of Paddington are present at more than 6 times the proportion that they represent in the general population. There are more than twice as many people in Britain of Asian heritage as there are black people. By Asian, I mean those of Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi ancestry. If they were represented in the Paddington cast in the same proportion as black people, then they would make up more than 50% of the cast. I'm sure that viewers will readily be able to supply their own instance of this kind of thing at work. When some noble-sounding white person says that his project will reflect the community which it serves, he's not talking about making sure that 10% of the workers are Asian. He means rather that they will cram in as many black people as they can lay hands on by any means necessary, including lowering the qualifications needed or even banning the hiring of any more white people until they've got enough black folk. This kind of thing is so common that we've come to take it for granted. It works against the interests of Asian people and those of Chinese heritage just as much as it does against white people. Thinking now about advertisements. 4% means 1 in 25. That is to say, one person in 25 in the community is black. Does anybody seriously think that just one person in 25 seen in modern advertisements is black? In fact, a quick check by looking through newspapers or watching advertisements on television or at the cinema will soon show you that the proportion is at least 50%. That is to say that they do not reflect the community, but actually feature black people at over 12 times the proportion that they are in the population. Now ask yourself how many Hindus and Sikhs you see in advertisements. See what I mean now? There are twice as many people in this country whose ancestry lies in the Indian subcontinent as there are black people, yet nobody cares in the slightest if they're not represented. The whole practical aim of this game, the reflecting the community game, concerns only black people. Very few Indians or Chinese people are likely to wish to take part in this patronising nonsense. Then they can usually find jobs, get into Oxford and enter the professions without some white liberal giving them a hand up like this.